First off, I would like to introduce you to Representative Corinne Ching. We've not yet had her on the show, and Representative Ward has plugged her many, many times, being our historical guru of the caucus. Many, many positive things. So let's get into some of the things that you're doing for the historical, actually the Heritage Caucus, and the wonderful things that you've been doing for Lilia and your community. So maybe could you explain some of the things and help the viewers understand why history and heritage is so important?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah. And you know how I do feel so strongly about heritage and about my particular district. And it actually is very connected to the committees that I serve on. I serve on education along with Representative, Finnegan and Lynn Finnegan, our minority leader. And I also have served on tourism. And the number one concern of my district is crime, as in most communities. So when you actually distill down what is the root of problems, a lot of times I have here Sunset Magazine, it's talking about the 20 best towns in America. Because that's really what we're here for, right? I mean, we're really here to see how does the legislation, how do what we do here at the Capitol make tangible results in our districts. Well, I contend that, believe it or not, it reminds me of a friend. He'd say, Corinne, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. In other words, like a chicken pecking in the same place when there is no grain there to be pecked. They need to move, right? They need to shift. Well, in historic preservation, what I'm thinking is that if you really distill what the problem is, crime, education, the economy, they are interrelated. And part of that interrelation comes from behavior of our people. So if we can affect behavior, we will see people. We want to ask people, please, if you're going to buy something, why not buy in a small business? Because they are providing jobs for our people, right? Not more so than perhaps a Walmart, etc., because the money's all stay here. Number two, how are you going to get people to improve education? Now, I'm a former educational person, right? I spent 10 years in MIA, which had the largest, best funded PTSA in the state of Hawaii. Well, there was no mistake that it had the highest scores consistently in the state of Hawaii, being that it had the highest participation of our people, right? So you're asking, how do you get people to participate in school? How do you get people to participate in their communities? And how do you get people to basically support what we found, and then also with tourism, as I mentioned, to attract tourists here, and I do like to travel. The fact is the heritage tourist stays longer, spends more than any profile of visitor. So when we're looking at marketing dollars, do we want wonderful to have a lot of people here, but if they're only spending, what we say manini amounts of money, or $5 or $10, wouldn't you rather have somebody who's going into Liliha, going into Haleiwa, going to Ewa Beach or Moana, and buying something from a small business? Sure you do. That's money for our local people, and additionally, it preserves the local culture that helps people feel, and children feel part of a community. Children will take care of what they love. This is apparent in one of the most successful enterprises you're ever going to see on earth today. It's called Disney. Mm-hmm. Don't laugh at it just because it's for kids. That's $1 billion example. Starbucks. That's real marketing. They weren't the first probably to make a good cup of coffee, right? It's marketing. And so what we need to do is we need to drive the funds here into our local towns. And so with that, we have Heritage Caucus was born about, 3 or 4 years ago, right? And it was focused to start looking at a new way of solving problems, an innovative way of solving problems. And one of our most exciting pieces of legislation is this. It's SCR number 42, Senate Concurrent Resolution 42, which we're hoping to get heard soon. And what it does is it asks for support of the congressional bill, Senate Bill 359, which proposes to designate the first ever in the state of Hawaii Capital National Heritage Area. What is a heritage area? Well, it's basically saying that you are important to the entire history of the United States of America. And this would be the first, and it's a very prestigious thing. And what it would do is help us to draw down federal funds through the National Park Service to become one of these 20 best towns. You know, we honored the Chinese today on the floor, right? Chinese. And you know, what I remember as my Chinese upbringing was that my father would always say, Corinne, if you want to be the best, take a look at who's the best, see what they're doing. It's kind of a simple concept. When you're in school, we teach this to our kids. See what the A student is doing. Are they sitting up front? Yeah, they are. Do they have a sharp pencil? Yeah, they do. Well, I apply that to this. I want my town, and everybody's town, but I have to admit I represent Lily, to be the best town, starting with the state of Hawaii. Yeah, there you go. Well, on its own beauty, on its own what God-given gifts are. You know, everyone's got their own God-given gifts, but I want my town to bloom. And so what we're doing is to address those issues again: crime, education, the economy. I contend that your silver bullet, one of the best things you can do, is start looking in a new place. Start looking at how are we driving business down to our small businesses, making it safer, less crime, so that people do want to walk down there, improving the economy, which improves tax base, to improve services, therefore to also help our schools and help everyone to be more, but you know, to use an overused term possibly, but connected.
Well, Representative Ching, I would like to commend you for your efforts. I think you're doing a phenomenal job.